Hey guys, this is Kamal with AMZ One Step, where we create the best Amazon listing photos. Should you be using stock photos or real life photography for your Amazon lifestyle images? This is the question I will be answering in this video. By the end of this video, you will know these three things. Number one, what is the difference between stock images and real models? Number two, when to use the stock photos and when to use the real life models. And number three, what are some of the pros and cons of both of them? So stay tuned. Stock images are licensed and royalty-free images of common places, people, events, or any graphics, and you can Photoshop your product on these stock images. Whereas with the real life models, you have to hire real people and photo shoot your product with the models at a studio or any lifestyle environment. Okay, let's talk about when to use the stock images. So if you're someone who is just starting out or you're low on budget, I would recommend stock images right off the bat. If you want to use the stock images, you have to keep few things in mind. Number one, make sure you have lots of stock images available, and you can easily find these stock images from websites like adobestock.com or shutterstock.com. There are some free tools out there like pexels.com, but I would highly recommend the paid ones because they come with a lot of options. The other scenarios where stock images would be your best bet are when your product is easily photoshoppable or when it's not so unique. Let's say if your product is hard to Photoshop, it might not look real on the listing page. And the other scenario where your product is very unique, you might not be able to find lots of stock images which would go with your product. So these are some of the scenarios where stock images would be perfect for your product. Now let's talk about the real life photography. If your brand wants to have its own identity, then real life models would be perfect fit for you. If your product is pretty unique or you don't have lots of stock images available, you can still go for real life models. If you are doing a video for your product listing and hiring models for that, you might as well use those models for your listing images. This will save you some bucks. Now let's talk about some of the pros and cons of real life photos versus stock images. The first thing that comes to my mind is stock images are pretty cheap to create. On the other side, real life models can be a little bit expensive because you need to hire the models and you need to rent out the places. The other benefit of having the stock images is that stock images can be created very fast. You're a designer or your product photographer, you can get the photos done in 3 to 4 days. On the other side, you need to, make appointments with the models and then edit them later on. So stock images are pretty fast turnaround time. Stock images are also very easy to revise. Let's say you don't like something, you can go back to your designer and ask them to change the stock image or make some adjustments. On the other side, when you have the real models, you don't have lots of options because now you have to hire those models back if you need something changed, unless it's a minor change. Real life photography looks really professional. On the other side, if you're hiring a bad designer or someone who doesn't know what he's doing, your photos may look photoshopped, and that's not a good thing to have. The other cool thing about stock images is that you have lots of options available. And on the real life models, you don't. The reason I'm saying this, for example, if your product is a beach product, you have like hundreds of beach images available as stock images, but when you have to do the real life photography on beach, you may need to travel, you may have to wait for the perfect weather, and there are no weather restrictions on the stock images.